Hi everyone, and thank you all for joining. And today I'm going to present about a new feature that we are currently working on, which is integrating Zenodo with Frictionless by library. And it's still in the development phase, but we wanted to share with the community so that we can get early feedback from you, and then incorporate those feedback in the library as early as possible. And this is my team, and I really would like to thank my team for all the support and help they provided. I'm very happy to be part of this team. And now I'll start my presentation, and for if you have any questions, we can keep the questions till the last of the presentation, and after the presentation we'll open for the questions. I hope that is okay.
Sure. Yeah, let's do like this. It's great.
Okay. And I'm sure that everybody knows about Zenodo, and it's a open access repository, which and sorry for the background noise. There's other noise also due to the festival season. So if there are any noises, please let me know. And okay, I'll continue my presentation. So it's an open access repository where like researchers can upload their research papers and data, which is open to all, and anyone can like use that data or research and reproduce the research or use it in any ways they want. And then again we have our frictionless library, which helps to which makes sharing data easy by like adding metadata and also providing the like various tools and specifications and also validation tools. So we wanted to make the integration, we wanted to integrate the data sharing between these two different platforms, and make it easy for the user. For example, if you have like frictionless user who wants to process the data in the frictionless library, like add metadata and then validate the data and then publish their data to the Zenodo dataset repository, then we want then this plugin makes it easy. And similarly the other way around from Zenodo also, if some frictionless user again wants to read the data from the Zenodo repository, then they can easily read the data from there. So we want this process easy, so that's why we developed this Zenodo plugin. And again this plugin is in the development mode still, and to use this feature you have to have this minimal version of our frictions library. You have to install this one to test it. So to get started with the features, we have added three different features. One is reading, writing, and creating the catalog from the repository. The first one is reading, and we wanted to make it simple without any additional features. So it's as simple as reading the data package from the local system. So we can just pass the URL of the Zenodo repository, and then it will identify that it's a the record from the Zenodo application. So it will read the data package from there and then returns the data package. The output is will be similar as shown in on the right side of the slide. It will return the it will return the package after reading it from the repository. And we also have this alias function which does the same thing. And here we, while reading the data, there are two different cases. One is like the record. By record, I mean the repository in the Zenodo application, because in the because the Zenodo API refers this each repo as a record. So I may also use it interchangeably. Like I may also refer each repo as a record. So the record may or may not have the package descriptor. If it doesn't have the package descriptor, then this plugin will read all the resources which is there in the record, which is supported by the Frictionless framework, and then create the data package descriptor and returns it back as a package. And this is the example of the repo which does not have the package descriptor. And similarly, if there is a package descriptor in the record, in the Zenodo record, then it will just read that package and returns it back, and the output is shown in the slide on the right side of the slide. So this is how the reading can be done by simply using these two functions, either passing the URL in the package class or using from Zenodo alias function. And the second feature that we have is creating the catalog from multiple records. The first one was mostly about reading one record at a time, but here in catalog we can record multiple records and create catalog from it. And here you can see in this example, I'm using this search query, which is which is like I want to find all the records which has TDWD mentioned in the notes field of the record. So it will search for all the records that it can find with this matching query, and then it will create the list of packages that a list of records. It will find the records, converts those records into the packages, and it will make the list of packages and create catalog and returns the catalog. Here this search query is matching two records there in the Zenodo repository. So we have two packages in that catalog, and when I print the packages, it will look like this, which I have shared in the right side of the screen, the output. And the output is the partial output, because the whole output won't fit on the screen. So that's why I only pasted the half of the screenshot. And similarly, I used one search before, like to create the catalog. Similarly, we can use many different search queries, build like complex search queries or simple or complex search queries using many different terms or fields as such. Here are some example of search query, and the first one is I'm using two different terms, like I can find records which have these two different terms, open or science. And if I want to make it mandatory, like both of them has to be in the record, then I have to add plus sign before this. Then it will be AND operation. If not, then it will be OR operation. So this is how it will work. And I can use terms only. I can use field value. Like I can also search for the records which have title open science, and also I can like build queries by combining these two, like using the first two, using this first term and the second field value pair, and then build the query and pass it as a search parameter to the catalog. Then it will find the records that match those queries and returns it back as a like it will create the list of packages and returns it as a catalog. And to know more about the search queries, we have this official documentation of Zenodo. It has list of all the queries that we can build and explanation as well. And even when we click it here, it will also show the results. So, yeah, it will show the results, but now it's not showing. Let me try again. Like this. So we can use any of these any of these terms or phrase, or combine these terms, phrases, and then fill value pairs to create the queries, and pass it to the plugin, and then create the catalog. So it will support all kind of queries that is supported by Zenodo API. So this is how the search will work. And the next one is I can also order the results by any terms. There are a few terms that has been allowed, that is allowed by the API, which we can find in the documentation side. So one of it is most recent. So I can also order the records by this term, which is the most recent one will be on the top and others will be on the bottom. And here I'm using this search. The all the records which has sorry, I think this query is wrong, it has to have colon here, but what it does is all the records whose creator name is FD tester, and which should be sorted by most recent one on the top. So this query will return the results with sorted in the descending order. And if I want to reverse the order, then I can just pass minus here, and then it will reverse the order, and it will change it to ascending order. And also there are two different parameters that I'm using here, which is um, uh, um, I'm reading the first page, and each page has only one record here. By default, it will have 10 records in each page, but since I have set the size to 1, then each page will have only one record, and I'm reading the first page only. So the output will only be one package, and because of that. So this is how the sorting works. And page, and like we can also control, we can also read like page 1, or I may want to read only page 10. So I can set it like this, and then read only the page that I want to read. So this is how it will work. And the last one is writing the package to the repository. And to write the package, we need metadata and the package itself. To write, first I need to read a package. I need to have a package instance, and then in the package instance I can just call this function to Zenodo, and it will write the package descriptor and all the resources to the Zenodo record repository. And since Zenodo requires us to also give the link to the metadata, we need to pass the metadata to it, and we'll pass it in the form of control. And metadata is about the metadata of the record of the Zenodo repository. So we can pass it as a JSON file, and when we pass it, it will write the packages there, and then it will return the deposition ID once it successfully writes the package to the repository. And the controls, the control is the way we can change, we can set the parameters of the plugin, or we can change, we can modify the behavior of the plugin, and we have multiple different parameters that we can set. And all these parameters do not apply to all the three functions. Like some apply to write, some are required for the read function, and some are for the catalog. So we can set the parameters using the control class, Zenodo control class, and we pass it like this. We pass the control object and then set the parameter of the plugin. We can either pass it in the package class while we are creating the instance of the package, or we can also pass it in the functions, which I'll show later in the demo. So this is how the controls work. And sorry, and here is the link of the all the features that I have explained before. I have like created a demo and uploaded it in the GitHub. but the demo that I'm going to show will be locally run. So I will use another file to show the, I will use the local notebook to show the demo.
Yeah, sorry, I interrupt you 1 second, Sassy. I just want to tell everyone that the link to Sassy's slides are inside the agenda doc. So if you want, you can find the link there.
Okay. So, so I'll start the demo now. For the demo, I'm reading the API key, and the API key is needed while writing the package to the repository, and also to increase the access limit. If I'm not using the API key, I'll only have 60 requests per minute, and if I use API key, I can have 100 requests per minute. So and that's while reading, we may not need the API key, but if we use, we can have more number of requests per minute. And I'm using two different API because Zenodo, in Zenodo, I was it doesn't allow to read the data from the sandbox, because they say that they frequently delete the records from the sandbox. So I can only use sandbox for to test the uploads, and that's why I'll use the write. I'll use this to write, to show the demo of the write function, and use this API key to read the records from the live site for the read functions. So this is the this is how we read the record from the Zenodo repository. I'm passing this record URL, and in the package class.
Sassy, we're not seeing the demo. We're still on the slides. Thanks, Peter, for bringing it up.
Oh, sorry. I think it will. I'll need to reshare my screen, so I'll stop sharing.
Sure,
and
go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Now, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Demo. Okay. So, so here, the minimal version is this to use this feature, and I'll show what this record has in the Zenodo repository. So it has these two files here. Without it doesn't have any descriptor. So when I read this, read the package from this repo, it will create a descriptor and then returns the package here like this. It has two different data sources, capital CSV and table XLS, and then it will just take the name of that name of the record, and then returns the package as such. And similarly, if it has a descriptor, like this another record has a descriptor, and it will just read the descriptor and then returns the descriptor, the package to us. So I'll show this one as well with the descriptor. So we have this package descriptor and two files, and data.csv and data2.csv. And when I ran this code, it has this resource. This is the package with the two resources. It read that descriptor and then returned it back. And once we get the package, we can then apply any functions that we have in the Frictionless library. For example, if I want to read the resource of that package, then I can apply all those functions that we have. So when I run this command, I'm reading the reading resource 0 and then of this package, and then reading from another package. I'm reading the resource of the first resource. So this is the output, and this is from the second package, first resource. And then I can also apply the validate function and also get the report like this. And we can use other functions as well. This is just an example. And like I said, we can, it does the same thing even if I use API key, just increasing the access limit. So now also the catalog creation. So now I'm using this query here, which is a record which has tdwd in the notes. So then so this will search for all the records that has this and then returns back. I'm setting this parameter using Zenodo control class, and then I'm passing it to the catalog as a control parameter. And when I run this command, it will create the, it will find those records, converts it to the packages, adds it to the catalog and returns. So it found 2 records, and then we have a catalog with 2 packages. This is the first package, and this is the second package. And you can see the name is same here. It's because both of the records has the same name, so which I can show by running this query in the, here I've already ran the query, but again. So since this have same name, that's why it's taking the same name. But if it had 2 different name, then the title would be different. Similarly, I can also apply those all the functions of the frictionless library and view the record and also run the validate on those package. So here I'm reading the package 0 and the resource 0 of package 0 and viewing the records and also applying validation on package 0, and this is the output of the validation. And now the source, different source that we can use. There are many different ways to build the source, but I chose like few examples only to show here. Here I'm using this 2 terminology without field name, and I'm using plus sign. Plus sign means mandatory, both have to be. So it's not or operation, it would be and. So when I run this, it found 1 package and then created the catalog out of it. So and then I can also this is first example of the search query, and this is another example. Here I'm trying to find the records with title that have frictionless, which is mandatory, and also the publication which has to be between these 2 dates. So when I run this command, when this catalog command, then I get 2 packages. I'm not printing the catalog because I have already shown the example above. Here I'm only showing how many packages is there in the catalog. So we have a catalog and I'm just printing the packages. So it found 2 records and created a catalog out of by adding those 2 packages. Similarly, I can do the sorting by ascending and descending order. Here, this one will be the descending order because the name is most recent, so it has to be on the top. And it will only read 1 record because I have passed page 1 and size 1. So here I'm reading the catalog, and this is the output of the catalog. And this is the title of the package that it read, because it read only one package, so we only have one package here, but still we need to use the index. So it's reading the first package and the title is this, and I'm also reading the data from the first resource of the package. So and this is the output. And in order to, like, we have this title right now, and I got one using this query, I got one result, and the results and the title of the package is this one. Now I'm using the same query, which is creator's name FT tester and most recent, but I'm passing minus sign here. So I'm reversing the order now, and other parameters are also same. So it should have a different name now when I run, like different package, if there are more than one records. So yes, now the name of the package title is different, which is frictionless data test data set, and it had to, because it has now reversed the order from older one on the top and then recent one on the bottom. And now I'll show how so the function of writing the package to the repository. So I will start from here. This is the function that writes to the repository, and for that we need to have a package. And then just running this function and passing the needed parameters would just write the data to the repository. And the main parameter that we need is the metadata. So I'm passing it here as a meta function, and I'm using sandbox for this. So I am passing API key sandbox, and since I'm using sandbox sandbox API key, I have to pass this URL, sandbox URL as well, because by default it will take the URL of the live site, and if I want to use the sandbox URL, then I need to specify using base URL. So I passed it here, and the metadata file looks like this. Here I'm setting the upload type, a title of the record, description, and creators. When I run this, it will create the record here in the Zenodo. Let's wait. I think it will take some time. So it's taking some, I think it will take some time. So I'll leave it. I'll go to the next one. This is the last one, and then I'll keep it as it is. So once it, while I'm showing this, if it is completed, then I'll show the results. So, and the output of this is like when it creates a record there, it will return a deposition ID, and it will be printed here. And here is the control, how we can use the control to set the property of the plugin. So we'll use the Zenodo control class and create the control object and pass it to the package class like this, or we can pass it to the function, like to Zenodo, and from Zenodo function we can pass it from there as well, or we can just pass it while initializing like creating the package. And there are many different properties that we can set, which I have shown in the slide, and I have listed all the properties there. And some of the properties, example of the properties are like formats. If I want to only read CSV file from this record, then I'll use this formats parameter and record and pass the API key, and then use this control to set the property of the plugin. And when I run this, it's still running. So when I run this, then we'll get this output. It will only read the CSV file, and not read. If there are XLS file or other files that is supported, which are supported by the Frictionless library or by the plugin, since I mentioned only CSV CSV file, it will only read the CSV file, and we can set the controls like that. We can set the properties like that. So I'm not sure, shall we wait for this one or shall I move forward? It has to,
Yeah.
it's on halfway. It has created a record. Now it has to set the metadata as well. Maybe I'll wait for 2 minutes. If that's okay, Sarah.
Of course. I wonder if maybe Sassi, do we want to start maybe to take on some questions while we wait for this to charge?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that would be better. Yes. So here my presentation ends and we are waiting for this one to complete, and I'll move to the slide. So I hope I have explained things clearly, and thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please, I'll try to answer as much as I can.